This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun.
No. Y'all, just stop. This is a sham.
Welcome to DBL. We hope your Wednesday is going well. Jeff is joining us remotely today. We are back to having only two hosts in the studio. We just thought with this contagious Omicron variant, this was best, and it was good to be precautious and keep people safe. So I'm hosting because Jeffrey doesn't have a teleprompter at home. How you doing, Jeffrey?
I feel good without that teleprompter. I enjoy not reading the teleprompter.
Are you glad to be not near me too?
No, I miss you guys. And you know what else I miss? Not looking at myself and see how fat I got during the holidays.
I hate when
you gotta
it's like
work on that angle. You gotta come from downhill.
This is a bad angle. I'm blown out. I'm not enjoying myself at all. So let's just get through this,
man.
It is good to see your face. All right. Well, Kanye West, I want to hear your opinions about this, appears to be moving on from his ex Kim Kardashian yet again. So he was spotted in New York City at a Broadway show with actress Julia Fox, along with some friends. Later, they hit up the exclusive Italian eatery Carbone. Neither have confirmed they are a couple, but just last month, Kanye was on stage at a concert asking Kim to run right back to him. So we have to ask, would you ever date someone who may not be over their ex? And if the producers could find out what show Julia Fox is from, that'd be great, or movie, because I know. I'm sorry? Oh, perfect. Okay. So what do you think about, he just said, Kim, come back to me, and now he's on a date?
I think it's 50 first dates every day with Kanye. You know, I think some days he's feeling like, we can do this, let's pull together, be a family. Kim, you know me, I love you. And then he's like, he sends that text and then calls his girlfriend and says, do you want to go to dinner?
I know.
I think Kanye this is not an act. What we've seen for the better part of a decade is, you know, these shots of just a genius, of a shattered man inside, as a hurting individual, but also as a super headstrong individual who has, as a black man, claimed his MAGA status and has not backed off of that.
That
takes a lot of internal fortitude. So I applaud him for doubling down on how he feels. I respect that.
Jeff, you know Kanye and you love him well. Did you think this is a little all over the place? Like, come back to me, Kim, now. And by the way, she's from Uncut Gems. That's where Julia Fox is known for. Do you feel like it's a little all over the place?
Yeah, but I think that's what Kanye is, right? Every time we talk about Kanye, I always say the same thing. There's a borderline between normal and crazy, and inside there somewhere is genius. And I think that's what Kanye is. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. One day he's feeling Kim, the next day he's not, and he wants to show off that he's really on his own, and he's got this good-looking girl under his arm, but then he wants his family back. So I think Kanye is who he is, to a fault almost, and he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and it's getting the best of him, and he's got to get it under control at some point. But again, that's what makes him great.
Yeah, that inconsistency is sort of what Kanye is. I know what you mean. Let us know what you guys think about this new relationship. And should Kim think about returning? I don't think she is, by the way. I think she's not returning. Good one. All right, well, if I could turn back time.
Now I'm glad I'm at home.
Yes, that should do it for any viewers we had.
Our camera guy just went, no.
My mom even shut the TV
She's
off.
like, I can't. I love you. You're my baby, but no.
Mrs. Schroeder. All right, don't expect Cher to be ditching the hair dye or wigs anytime soon. Cher has rocked all kinds of hair color throughout her career, from blonde to the red to her signature jet black look, which I love. But she swears she will never go gray. Speaking to People magazine, Cher, who is 75, said, quote, going gray is fine for other girls. I'm just not doing it. Well, actress Andie MacDowell recently decided to let her hair naturally go gray, and Jane Fonda embraced her natural gray hair in 2020 at the age of 83. I'm going to speak to our gray-haired friend here. How do you feel about gray, Mr. Jeffrey?
I say rock whatever color you want to do. You know what I mean? Al, were you watching the bowl game yesterday and they showed Kurt Warner? Kurt Warner, there's a movie about him, and his son was playing for Kansas State. Him and his wife were both rocking the gray hair together.
She's rocked that gray forever. They looked amazing,
and I think it's just a cultural thing. Maybe we kind of look at women, we're like, wow, you have gray hair. You might be a little bit older, but I think we're breaking through that ceiling again. Look at Keanu Reeves' girlfriend slash wife. I don't know what their relationship is, but I say whatever you're feeling, rock it.
Well, Jeff, talk to our viewers, because you are still a young man, but you decided to embrace your gray early, which for somebody that was embarking on a super successful career, that must have been a big decision for you.
Ooh, that was a nice compliment. But yeah, I went gray a little bit early, and I did dye my hair at one point. I did put like in that washing color to make myself play a little younger, because I was in Los Angeles at the time, you know, doing commercials and different parts and things like that. So I wanted to look a little bit younger, and then at some point I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna rock the gray, and it had nothing to do with my hair. It's just that I stunk at acting. So I found out it had nothing to do with my hair.
Can you imagine you all, Jeff, with like jet black hair?
No.
It would look ridiculous.
I have grays coming in, and I cover my grays, but I'm like, I don't know. When you go full gray, I look older.
Yeah,
you know, and I don't mind it. I don't care.
Right.
But I don't know. It seems like the television audience does. So
I think
I do this for you guys.
Well, I do think the black and white, like the pepper, salt and pepper, I don't mind at all. But it's interesting that women aren't allowed to do that until recently. Like men always look distinguished in gray, and women were like, "Oh, you hag."
Right.
And now it's like, "Oh, bring it on." Like Diane Keaton looks so sharp.
She looks awesome. Yeah.
She looks fantastic. All right.
But on the flip side to that, real quickly, men who dye their hair and you could tell, it's like, whoa. But women who dye their hair, it looks nice. They know how to do it. Men don't know how to do it, and it almost looks worse when you got a bad dye job for men.
That is a good point. If you ever Google Ken Burns, I'm always like, someone get Ken Burns, the documentary guy, get him a makeover. The jet black, we got to fix it. All right. Some women on social media claim they are benefiting from so-called pretty privilege.
Tell me about it.
This influencer posted a video on TikTok that listed everything she says she got for free, all because of her looks. Things like free concert tickets to Lollapalooza worth $500, meals, surf lessons, free Uber rides, and lots of rounds of cocktails. But another woman on TikTok says there can also be a downside to pretty privilege. After she lost 125 pounds, she said people treated her differently. Watch this.
I think strangers are nicer to me now. And I think one-on-one people do tend to be nicer. However, I will say that now I feel like more people talk crap about me behind my back. I will also say that before I had less friends, but I felt like all my friendships were genuine. Now I will say that I have more friends, but I can confirm that all of them are as genuine as they were back then.
Do we want a quick chat on that? Do you think that's true? Do you guys, you both are pretty. Did you have a pretty privilege growing up, Jeffrey?
I wouldn't say pretty as in, I don't know if men get the same advantages as women do when you say pretty. I mean, look at what business is. We have to take this for what it is. A lot of people now are body positive and all these things, and I don't want to put that down. But look at just the club industry. Look at the bar industry. They let women in for free. They don't even have to pay because they want to pack the bar with beautiful women. In turn, that brings in the men who spend money. That's the traditional way. I'm not trying to be sexist.
No, that's
but
just
that's
a fact.
just what it is. It's business.
Right. Right. Do you think it's fair, Al? And I have to say, I was a very ugly child. I was an ugly duckling. I had asymmetrical hair, sports goggles. I wore a lot of plaid. I had 2 retainers. And when I started getting a little bit more, societally pretty, I did get through easier. That is true.
Well, because people, look, being attractive is a currency. And I've always said this is a weird thing, and Jeff, I've said this to you in private. Being super attractive is no different than being famous. Being famous just means like when Tom Hanks walks into a bar, everybody would stare at him.
Yeah.
When you're very attractive, male or female,
right.
When you walk into a bar, everybody stares at you. You're famous everywhere you go. So when you're a super attractive male or female, people want you to be the front of their face of their business.
Yeah.
They want you in their nightclub, like you said, Jeff. They want you to put their makeup on. They want you to get into their car because when people look at you, they say, that's a good-looking person. I want to be a good-looking person. That's the kind of car they drive. That's the kind of car. It's a weird connection, but that's why people have been using models forever.
Yeah.
People have been, this is what it is. It's a thing, and we are visual creatures, and I think we need to embrace some of that. And there is part of us that is very just on the surface. I think you're an attractive person, and I want to look at you, and it works every time.
Interesting.
And that's why I have this job, because I am gorgeous.
That's why I'm on the show, too.
Get him off! It's terrifying. Coming up on DBL, it's terrible. A series
Love you, buddy.
is shedding light on the dark underworld that controls our economy. This is fascinating. We sat down with an investigative reporter about the show Trafficking. But first, Jon Stewart is blasting J.K. Rowling for being anti-Semitic in Harry Potter. We're chatting about it after the break. Stay tuned.
Closed captioning provided by
Three, two,
Okay, yeah, Lydia did not come with her best countdown on that one. Yeah, that was.
I'm fine.
That was a very
leaving.
strange countdown.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be honest about that. Attractive people do have an advantage in a lot of ways, and I've seen it both ways. I don't know if I told you, my roommate Greg in Miami was just a super good-looking guy, and I just had never. I was probably like 23. And we would be out at the bars in Florida, and it was the first time I had ever seen like women come up and be like, "I never do this, but can I?"
Oh,
and I would,
like Brandon London. That happened to Brandon. Brandon London. Do y'all remember Brandon?
Our old co-host,
yes.
who is still a close friend. Exact same thing. But Brandon, it's hard to find, but is the equivalent of a very attractive,
totally agree,
woman.
But then again, Brandon would say to me, "I'm always never sure if it's for me." Or if it's because I look like this, or if because I was an NFL player, and I do understand the downside, but I think the advantage is severely overplayed.
It just opens more doors.
It does, and it's a currency. You're
Aren't
totally
you just
right.
kind of just with life? You're just trying to assemble your keys to open as many doors as possible. So you try and be as attractive as possible, as educated as possible,
as kind
nice
as possible. Right.
It's all those things.
Educated as possible.
Yeah, I said that,
right.
but you were over talking me. But
Did he, Lydia?
No, yes. You made fun of Lydia too in her countdown. Maybe she should get an apology.
I'm so sorry. Mi dispiace per tutto. Oh, abbiamo bisogno di abbracci. Oh. I said, I'm sorry to both of you. We should all hug. But then I realized that it's COVID.
I told my girl, Merritt, that you spoke Italian. She was just like, Tori's such a bad you-know-what. She left, like, people love you.
I think it's only because I had no friends in Michigan that I was like, I'll go to Italy. They're all friend of Michi's. That's friends. I really wanted to get to this. Welcome back to DBL. Jon Stewart yesterday called out J.K. Rowling for her depiction of the goblins in the Harry Potter series. So in a recent episode of his podcast, Jon said the goblins described in the books and featured in the movies are running the banks. They looked eerily similar to historic anti-Semitic cartoons of Jewish people. Watch.
Do you know what those folks that run the bank are? And they're like, what? And they're like, Jews from, it's the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. I just want to show you a caricature. And they're like, oh, look at that. That's from Harry Potter. And you're like, no, that's a caricature of a Jew from an anti-Semitic piece of literature. J.K. Rowling was like, can we get these guys to run our bank?
So I want to be honest. I'm Jewish, and in private, first of all, I love Harry Potter, and
You're
I still
Jewish in public as well.
I'm Jewish in public as well. I love Harry Potter, but in private conversations, it was very obvious to my Jewish friends and family, incredibly obvious, that the big hook nose, the sharp teeth, the short sort of greenish hue.
Was that your first thought when you saw that?
Immediately, and that they
That's
lived
so
and worked in an underworld of all the banks was an incredibly old, and I'm talking 12th century Jewish stereotype that has gone on forever.
Wow.
And so we all laughed about it in a way, like Jon Stewart. It's not really offensive to me. I still love the books, but we all read that as subtext as these are the Jews. And that goblin effect of Jews has gone back since, like, as I said, the 12th century. So this doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you both? Al, you seem surprised.
I am just, you know, as a black man, I noticed things, you know, obviously there were the crows.
Yeah.
And I remember
Disney,
being,
right?
yes, and just like Jeff, you know, growing up as a young black kid in Cleveland, watching just the basic channels, watching wrestling. There was a wrestler that was like Kamala, the Ugandan giant, and he would come out and try and eat his opponent. And he had a white master that would whip him.
Wow.
This is in the 80s, but it was like, I mean, black men had this. These were we had. I remember Tom and Jerry cartoons. There would be like, they never showed her face, but there was a kind of the black mammy plantation character. And I remember being a young kid, and I couldn't put that into context, but I knew it wasn't good.
Yeah, it didn't feel right.
Right.
It felt bad.
Yeah. So that's it. So interesting, because I didn't see the Harry Potter thing, so I didn't know. Jeff, when you looked at cartoons or something like that, would I've never seen Harry Potter, so did you ever put that together?
I didn't with Harry Potter, but funny enough, I know what you're saying with Tom and Jerry. They just showed the bottom of the legs. I do remember that. But do you remember Coco Beware, Al?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that was racist.
Yeah.
He was just awesome.
Yeah.
He was just awesome. But as far as J.K. Rowling goes, now we're coming out like she has these anti-Semitic tendencies. She has transphobic tendencies, homophobic tendencies. Why are we washing Harry Potter away? I'm going to tell you why. Because it's making too much money. We won't invite J.K. Rowling herself to a reunion with the cast, even though she made up everything. We should be getting rid of Harry Potter if all these things are coming to light, but it's making too much money for other individuals. Is that right?
And Jeff, let me tell you, because what you're saying makes so much sense, but it goes along with, like, why didn't we cancel R. Kelly 15, 20 years ago? Why didn't we cancel Chris Brown?
It's so selective.
It's not only that it's selective, it's that Chris Brown, R. Kelly, J.K. Rowling, their art has interwoven itself with our lives.
Yeah.
Like R. Kelly, you probably saw your grandparents dancing at their anniversary to that. You remember meeting your husband and your first date was going to, and bonding over Harry Potter. So how do you cancel that?
Yeah.
You can cancel who created it, but I just think their art is just almost too popular. The only person where their art's really gone away.
But should people be making money off of a person like that?
Right.
So if you're very staunch in your ways and you're very like, hey, listen, I stand by what I say, you shouldn't be watching Harry Potter then.
Interesting. And I wonder if money is the selective part. If it makes enough money, forget the cancellation. Interesting. Coming up on DBL, half of our global economy is controlled by shady underworlds. We're chatting about it. A reporter with the series Trafficked that delves into the unknown next.
For Disease Control and Prevention is facing criticism in viral social media posts after it changed its isolation and quarantine guidelines for people who test positive for COVID-19. Several Twitter users claim a person who tests positive can still infect others, even after isolating for 5 days, as recommended by the new guidelines. So let's verify. Can a person still be contagious more than 5 days after their first positive COVID-19 test? Our sources are the CDC, the World Health Organization, Houston Methodist Hospital, and Harvard Medical School. The CDC says the change is motivated by science and explained COVID-19 is most contagious from 2 days before symptoms begin and up to 3 days after. The CDC did not say a person is no longer contagious after 5 days, only that they no longer have to isolate, and recommends they strictly wear masks when away from home for an additional 5 days. Doctors at Houston Methodist Hospital and Harvard Medical School determined people are likely no longer contagious 10 days after symptoms begin. So it's true. A person can still be contagious more than 5 days after the first positive COVID-19 test. On Sunday, Dr. Anthony Fauci said the CDC may change its guidelines based on the feedback and is considering recommending a negative test to end isolation. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis. To receive daily fast facts to your phone, text Verify to 202-410-8808. And to sign up for our newsletter, visit verifythis.com/email.
Welcome back to DBL. So how much of our lives does a global criminal underworld control? That's exactly what National Geographic's show Trafficked aims to find out. And it's a lot more than you think. Earlier, we spoke with host Mariana Van Zeller about it. Take a look. Mariana Van Zeller, thank you for joining us. Now, what was it about the criminal underworld that made you want to do a second season of Trafficked?
It's an understanding that these black and gray markets actually make up for almost half of our global economy, and yet we know so little about them. They have a direct impact on our daily lives, whether we know it or not. And again, we know close to nothing about them. So I think I've always been curious about these worlds, and really gaining access into the deepest and darkest corners of our world is the whole premise of this show.
I'm so into this.
Well, I am too. And here's, I'm going to speak for the audience here. You get up close and personal with the criminals in real life situations. How do you convince them to get on camera?
Yeah.
It seems like that would be counterintuitive to what they're trying to do.
It takes months, sometimes even years, to convince people to talk to us. I say that for every yes that we get, for every person that agrees, we get dozens, sometimes even hundreds of people that say no first. So it's not easy, but I think at the end of the day, the reasons, it's a mix of ego, also impunity. A lot of these people operate in worlds where they really don't see a downside to talking to us.
Right.
And then I think it's a very human characteristic, just wanting to be understood and wanting to share their stories. I think one of the things that we make very clear from the beginning is that I'm not there to judge. I'm
Right.
there with empathy. I'm there to listen and to understand them. And I think that goes a long way.
Do you work with the cartel?
I might see nothing.
Now, this is the coolest part. I mean, not the coolest, but I think you sometimes wear a hidden camera in your investigations. Do you go into those situations with an escape plan? Like, do you have a code word? Bananas, someone come in and get me.
Why would that be the code word?
Because
that would be the most obvious code word you could yell.
Bananas.
I'm not going to tell you what the code word is, but we have
It's
one.
not bananas.
You know, yeah, I mean, we do film some stuff with secret cameras, for sure, and it's only sort of last resort when we really do not get access to certain areas that we think are important to see. But more often than not, we actually, spend, again, months and months trying to convince people to let us into their worlds.
That makes sense.
And that is often actually, sometimes the most dangerous situations we have been in situations where we have gotten full permission, but something just doesn't work or is not going right. We were in Mexico, in Sinaloa, doing one of the episodes for the season about, actually for season 1, it was about gun trafficking. And the military, the Mexican Marines showed up, and that was a very scary moment where there could have been a shootout at any moment. And that happens, unexpected moments happen more often than not.
So do you have that gene in you where you like to bungee jump? Do you have that adrenaline thing? Because you constantly are putting yourself, no, you don't have that.
People think I'm an adrenaline junkie,
Right.
and I'm not at all. I don't do it for adrenaline. In fact, it doesn't give me much. I don't get an adrenaline out of it. What I am guided by is enormous curiosity about the world. I think that in a fight between curiosity and fear, in my mind, curiosity always wins. And if there's a world out there that is secretive, that no one has seen before, or that you're not supposed to go into, that's the place where I want to go, just because I'm incredibly curious about it.
Wow.
And it turns out that what I'm incredibly curious about, these hidden worlds are actually have an impact on our lives. So they're also very important to shine a light on.
Mariana, thank you so much for chatting with us. Don't forget to watch the second season of Trafficked, out now on National Geographic, one of my absolute favorite channels. Thank you so much for taking your time and the great work that you do. We'll
Keep
be
it
right
up.
back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay curious, my love.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
pandemic, the government offered many programs to help Americans get by, including boosted unemployment benefits, stimulus checks, and paid sick leave. But what federal help is gone for good, and what's here to stay? Our sources for these questions: the Department of Labor, the White House, the Department of Education, and the IRS. First, let's take a look at unemployment benefits. According to the Department of Labor, back in September, the federal government stopped the extra $300 checks for people on unemployment. So we can verify that no, you will not get boosted unemployment benefits this year. Next, will you still get stimulus checks in 2022? As part of President Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan signed into law in March of 2021, many Americans saw a third stimulus check for up to $1,400. As of now, no other stimulus checks have been announced. Will Americans continue to see student loan relief in the new year? According to the U.S. Department of Education, an extension of the pause on student loan payments, interest, and collections will go until May 1st, 2022. The Department of Education says the extension will allow the administration to assess the impacts of the Omicron variant on borrowers and provide additional time for borrowers to plan for payments to resume. So we can verify that, yes, Americans will continue to see student loan relief for at least part of the new year. And finally, will parents still receive an enhanced monthly child tax credit this year? The American Rescue Plan increased the child tax credit to as much as $3,600 per child in 2021. According to the IRS, automatic monthly payments went out to parents on the 15th of every month, but those payments stopped in December. According to Congress, the Build Back Better legislation would extend enhanced child tax credits. If it's not passed, then those payments will not resume, and the child tax credit will drop back down to $2,000 per child.
When it comes to making a flu vaccine each year, scientists are forced to make an educated guess. There are several strains of influenza, and they have to predict which strains will be the most prevalent. Then a vaccine is made to fight against those strains. On average, over the last decade, the flu shot has been around 43% effective, meaning people who got the vaccine were 43% less likely to get sick. Unfortunately, this year, it appears the flu vaccine is a mismatch to the strain that is circulating. Research out of the University of Pennsylvania found the major strain, H3N2, has mutated in a way that makes the shot less effective against it. The lead researcher told CNN it is a major mismatch, which could explain why we are seeing flu outbreaks across the country. So why are doctors still telling everyone to get a flu shot this year? Well, the research shows that while the shot may not prevent you from getting sick, it looks like it will prevent serious illness from that strain. In fact, it has been shown consistently that seasonal flu vaccines prevent hospitalizations and deaths, even in years when the vaccine does not match the outbreak. So it's still a good idea to roll up your sleeve and get the flu shot.
Welcome back. So paying attention to your weight could actually help you fight COVID. We're chatting about it on DBL's Focus on Fitness presented by QB. Experts say people who are overweight are at a much higher risk of getting COVID. And a new study suggests that losing that weight can reduce that risk. Experts say that you shouldn't focus on losing a certain number of pounds, but just think instead of those inches on your waistline. If you're looking to lose the weight this new year, QB is a great way to get in some exercise. Try their under-desk elliptical at home. Call 1-800-556-2089 or visit QB.com to learn more. I just started picking up yoga again.
Right, yeah.
Because I just thought I need to be healthy if I'm ever going to face this, which I might.
That's exactly what it is. And I'm starting to realize it is a journey with this body.
Yeah.
You're going to go up and down, and you don't get discouraged. Just like pick it up.
Every day.
Try something different. Yoga.
Little bits every day. That's exactly right. Jeffrey, it was so good seeing you. You look fantastic.
Yes, you're a beautiful man.
Every day. Bye, guys.